very warm welcome to the Irish Times Sport Ireland Sportswoman of the Year Awards for 2021. And what a year it's been. It's been a tough year in general terms in life, but the Sportswomen of Ireland absolutely lit up our lives and gave us so much joy during the year. We've had so many outstanding achievements, in my opinion, by far the greatest year ever for Irish sportswomen. What was the best achievement? Well, take your pick. It's a subjective choice. But over the next hour or so, we'll introduce you to all of our winners and we'll reflect on what were the outstanding achievements. You'll have your own view. Our judges will have theirs and we'll hear from them. But first of all, I think the most important thing to do is introduce you to those women who lit up 2021 for us. We always begin the awards in December of the previous year because the awards are in December. And last year was very unusual, obviously because of COVID, and we had the two All-Ireland finals, both camogie and football, in December. So our winners in December were Aoife Doyle for her performance with Kilkenny in the camogie, and Sinead Goldrick, again, an outstanding performance for Dublin. I'm delighted to say she's in Melbourne now preparing for the Aussie Rule season, but she's joined us. So Sinead, it's great to chat with you. And December of last year seems so long ago now, doesn't it?
It's mad because when, you guys approached me about the interview, I just remember playing in Croke Park in pitch dark and, COVID was on and so it was just such a great occasion, I suppose, for us to be able to play in the case of the environment of COVID. So it's definitely something that we were so grateful to do. And then we got the win, so it made it even more special.
And the fact there was nobody there and there had been such massive crowds in previous years, did that take from it in any way?
No, I think we were just so grateful to be given a structure in such a difficult time for so many people. So it was something that really drove us on as a group. And even when we were training in the middle, of the night and really tough training, we just felt that we were so grateful to have the opportunity and, to play in Croke Park is brilliant. And I suppose after the game, it was kind of because there's no one else, I think we got to celebrate it and, a lot with each other, a lot more. And it kind of cemented the year. So it was definitely something we won't forget.
And then a dramatic change this year when you were red hot favourites in the final and Meath upset the odds and beat you.
I know. And I think Meath fully deserved it. They bet us off the pitch, and I suppose from their journey and what they achieved throughout the year is definitely motivation for anybody. And obviously we're extremely disappointed with the win, but I think the better team won on the day.
And a final question. So your season begins in a couple of weeks' time in Aussie Rules. How is that going for you?
Really good. So myself and Lauren have a full pre-season. Last year we came over a week before our first match. So I think that we've definitely, got a kind of huge fundamentals improved, and we're just really enjoying being out here in the sun. So I think we're having our first practice game this weekend. So we'll kind of see how we fare against the other teams and how we're doing individually in terms of, game time and everything like that. So exciting time and really looking forward to it.
Well, we wish you well with it. We'll follow closely to see how you get on. Sinead Goldrick, congratulations. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks so much. Thank you.
Our winner for January set a new Irish indoor 800 metres record. She's currently doing warm weather training. It's a pleasure to welcome Nadia Power from Spain. Nadia, tell us what's going on there at the moment.
So at the moment, just warm weather training with a Swedish girl and a Slovakian girl that I link up with. So just getting some extra work done with them, and the slightly milder weather has been enjoyable.
So when you won the monthly award last year, the start of the year, you had a hectic schedule. Tell us a little bit about it. It was geared towards the Olympics ultimately, was it?
Yeah, so the aim for me last indoor season was to pick up some points towards my world ranking to help me qualify for the Olympics. So I actually set off on warm weather camp in January, thought I'd come home first and get my races ready and my travel, but then COVID restrictions didn't allow. So I actually just stayed on the road for 6 weeks, even though I was only meant to be away training for two, and just hopped from race to race and kept competing and building up my rankings. And yeah, I broke the Irish record twice in that time.
It was hugely successful. At the end of the year, when you look back on it, was it too hectic?
I would say yes, it was too hectic, and it caught up with me a little bit at the end of maybe in the summer, where I actually didn't run as fast. But for me, it secured the Olympics, and that was the biggest goal for me last year. So the boxes were ticked earlier in the year than some, but yeah, it's just the way it works out, and we'll learn from it. But the goal was achieved.
And of course, all of the success in the early part of the year will give you growing confidence going into next year.
Yeah, of course. And I love indoors, so I am targeting to do the indoor season again this year. And I got the qualifying time for World Indoors last year, so it's nice to have that in my back pocket, and I hope to represent Ireland there.
And were you having to study for college as well?
Yes, I was. Luckily, college was online then, so I had some very nice lecturers, but there was kind of some interesting situations where I was joining group meetings from buses in Poland or airports in Spain. So I have to say thank you to my group members last year.
Well done. And did the exams go okay for you?
Yeah, the exams went well. The lecturers were very nice and DCU and accommodating, thank God.
Well, it's a great year all round then if it all went so well for you. Congratulations, Nadia, and continued success in the new year.
Thank you.
Rachel Blackmore, hearty congratulations to you. An absolutely extraordinary year for you. Leading jockey at Cheltenham, something no woman had ever achieved before, and then the first woman to win at Aintree in the Grand National. Fantastic year. Have you a preference for the Cheltenham achievement or the Aintree success?
Oh, look, it's just been an incredible year, to be honest. I never envisaged anything like this could ever happen in my career. The standout, I suppose, has to be Aintree. That feeling when I crossed the line in the Grand National, I've never experienced anything like it. It's such a special race. But look, winning the champion hurdle on Honeysuckle, it's right up there as well. That was just an incredible moment as well. So, look, I've been so lucky.
Yeah. And the success of Honeysuckle and you together, I mean, when you were in Ferryhouse only a couple of weeks ago, the crowd turned out, and then the reception you got when you won again probably reflects how people respect what you've achieved all year.
Oh, it was so lovely. She's such a special mare. Henry de Bromhead does an incredible job training her. Like, he produces her to tip-top shape every day she runs, and it was so nice to have the crowd there in Ferryhouse that day and everyone to welcome her back in and kind of get to enjoy her as much as I get to enjoy her.
Well, listen, congratulations on all you've achieved, and we wish you many more successes in the years ahead. Thanks, Rachel.
Thank you.
Now, our Sportswoman of the Month for March is Leona Maguire, who won it for around a 61 in the Evian back at the start of the year. But her year was to go on and be so fantastic, stupendous year for her, really, in her first full year as a professional. And she's been based in Florida, but as of yesterday, she's back in Ireland and she joins us from Cavan now. Lovely to see you again, Leona. Congratulations on a great year. In Ireland, I suppose, the Solheim Cup grabbed everyone's attention. But you had so many good individual performances as well. What was your own favourite moment from the year?
Yeah, I think Solheim was definitely the highlight of the year. I think it was probably the highlight of my career so far. Just the whole build up to the event, actually getting picked on the team, and this was something I've dreamt about for a long time. Getting to watch it in 2011 in Killeen Castle in Ireland, and then to actually be there, and couldn't have asked for a better week. The way it unfolded, we went in as underdogs, very much so. Probably the most lopsided crowd ever. I think a lot of people had sort of written us off, and it was nice to to bring back the cup on the right side of the Atlantic for only the second time to win on American soil was pretty special.
Yeah, and given your inexperience, I think we didn't expect you to be picked for every session and for you to end up as top point scorer and the success of you and Mel Reid as a partnership. There are so many elements to it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I didn't expect to be picked for all 5 sessions. Nobody else was. I chatted to Paul McGinley before I left, and he kind of told me 3 matches. If you have a 50% record, that's a very successful week. So that was sort of the mentality I was going into the week, trying to just embrace the experience, do as well as how I could, given whatever Beanie wanted me to do. And it kind of just snowballed. We won that first match against the Cordas that first day, and that kind of put down a marker. And yeah, I mean, the partnership between me and Mel was fantastic. And I think it kind of brought something out of ourselves that we really weren't expecting.
Yeah, what I found fascinating watching it, Leona, was the crowd was so pumped up. There was no European support at all. And then the players were pumping up the crowd even more. Were you able to block out all of that?
Yeah, I mean, it was nothing like I've ever experienced before. It's close to a football match or a rugby match. It's probably the best comparison. It was so loud on the first tee. There was 130,000 people there that week in Toledo, and 99% of them were Americans chanting USA and dressed up in red, white, and blue and all the rest. So for us, it was our sort of mantra that week was to embrace the silence. We knew if we hit good shots when the crowd was silent, we were doing something right. So it's unusual to have people clap when you miss a shot or miss a putt. So I suppose we had to be each other's biggest fans out there and sort of cheer each other on when we're out in the court.
And generally, then you had so much success individually with the top 10 finishes, etc. You've clearly adapted very well. How is living in Florida for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a bit of an adjustment. I suppose you're learning all the time as you go along. Fortunate this year that we had a relatively uninterrupted schedule, predominantly in America, and learned a lot from 2020, my sort of first half of my rookie season, I guess, and worked a lot last winter, sort of improving some things in my game, and it was really good to see that pay off. And obviously Florida, it's nice practicing in the warm weather and great facilities, and there's about 8 or 9 other LPGA players where I am to practice and play with and all of that. But at the same time, I enjoy coming home to Cavan as well. I am a home bird at heart, so it's nice to be able to split my time between the two.
Yeah, well, you won't have 80 degrees over Christmas. Will you have the clubs out at all over the next few days?
Yeah, I mean, I'll keep ticking away. I'm sure I'll get a couple of games in with my sister and my brother when I'm home. And January won't be long coming around, so won't be able to down tools completely. But I'll enjoy a few days over Christmas and pretty much get back into it and get stuck in working on next year.
Well, again, congratulations from all of us, and happy Christmas to you and your family, Leona.
Happy Christmas, Des.
Now, our winner for April has already had success in Ireland as a footballer and camogie player with Tipperary. But in April, she was honoured for her extraordinary success halfway across the world, part of the Brisbane team that won the Aussie Rules Premiership. And Orla O'Dwyer joins us now from Brisbane, where the temperature is what at the moment, Orla?
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's been great being back, heading into the summer months now. So yeah, loving the heat and loving the training.
Well, it was an extraordinary year for you. Can you give us an example of, is the rise of women's Aussie rules similar to Gaelic football in Ireland?
Yes, definitely. Last year was the 5th season of AFLW, so the women's AFL is still pretty new in the competition. So even just from watching my previous year to last year, how far it's grown each year is phenomenal, and the support and I suppose suspectors to come into the game is huge. So it's great. And even Ireland, the support we've been getting is phenomenal too. So it's definitely growing. And I think in a couple of years, I can definitely see it becoming more of a professional sport like the men's.
And of course, this year, you're going to be the target that everyone's going for as the champions.
Yes. I suppose last April was phenomenal. And winning the Premiership, you kind of had that taste of success, and you want to try to do back to back, and every team kind of wants to is at your tail trying to catch you. So yeah, no, it's good. I think we've done a lot of celebrating, and we've kind of parked that Premiership, and we know coming into this season that everyone will be gunning for us. So I suppose staying humble and being hungry too is really important.
And finally, Orla, lots of our award winners have managed to get home to Ireland for the Christmas time at least. Obviously, you won't get that opportunity. How will you spend Christmas?
Yeah, I'd love to, but we only have 4 days off for Christmas. So I'm actually spending it with one of my teammates, Jade. She's also, I live with her as well. So I'm going to her house for the day, and it's actually nice. There's a couple of other girls from Victoria and Perth who can't go home too because of COVID and restrictions here. So there's a couple of us that are away from our families and away from home. So I'm sure we'll all get together as well throughout the time and spend that together.
Good. Well, listen, congratulations on what was a remarkable year, and I hope the year continues to be as good for you in 2022. Thanks for joining us, Orla.
Thanks so much. Thank you.
Moment of the year, no doubt about it, was provided by Kelly Harrington with that incredible gold medal at the Olympics in Tokyo. And Kelly, what is it, 5 or 6 months on now? It was life-changing, wasn't it?
Yeah, Des, it was life-changing for me, but it was also very uplifting for the rest of the country, which is more of a, like, that's more than I could ever dream of or expect, really, you know.
But when you were there and the party was happening back here, you had kind of distanced yourself from all of the celebrations, hadn't you, over there?
I didn't know what was going on when I was over there. I just seen a clip there I done a while, like a couple of years ago, and it was talking about what if you qualified for the Olympics, and I was saying, oh, just if I qualified for the Olympics, the inner city would be on wheels. Sure. When I won a gold medal from the Olympics, the inner city was off the rails. They were off the rails altogether. Like, so it was fantastic. And then I got to come home and obviously see everybody, which was brilliant.
Your parents, like, they became celebrities here on your behalf while you were in Japan.
There's my dad's I don't know anybody in the inner city who doesn't know my dad, you know. And then my ma takes the walking the pavements to a different level, you know, with that dog. So yeah, but everybody around the world, around Ireland, got to know them then.
Yeah, but I mean, when you win, everyone just thinks of the glow of the success. But I mean, you had a tough semi-final and final to come through.
Yeah, they were very, very tough, but I was just nice and calm, and you know what? I didn't really, whatever was going to happen was going to happen. I knew I knew the girls who I were facing, who I was facing, deserved to be there, and the way I felt was like, Jesus, like no matter who wins, we're all deserving of this. So let the games keep going on.
Yeah, and in the end, the fact that it was a COVID hit games, it didn't affect you personally, given you were so focused, did it?
No, I never, like, they were ran very well, and like obviously interrupted with training and so on. Like the rest of the world, it interrupted with everybody's daily lives, you know. So we were affected, but not affected as badly as what a lot of other people were affected, you know.
Sure. And tell me, when you're walking down the street, do you still get men, women, children shouting to you or waving to you?
I do all the time. I still have them knocking at my ma's door, like, and I'll come out and get photos with them, and it's lovely. It's really, really nice, you know. It's really special, and it's nice to hear people, like, their stories of the 2 weeks of, you know, of how they were and how they were feeling and stuff. It's really amazing.
And is it easy focus on getting back into training now in the new year and getting back in the ring again?
Well, at the moment, obviously, everything is quite up in the air for us with amateur boxing, so we don't know what's going on. There's worlds are meant to be in March, and they've been moved till May, and you know, I'm not like going 100 miles an hour. I'm taking a ham and cheesy, because at the end of the day, I'm no spring chicken, so I need to mind my body as well, and just get ready for whatever comes up. And once I have a good 10 weeks before that, I'll be flying. But I'm gonna enjoy my Christmas, but I'm still tipping away, but not too hard or too intense.
So you can eat what you like at Christmas, can you?
That's it. Like I'm eating all around me. I am.
There's no gold
You
medal.
know what I'm like for eating this.
I thought you were going to say, you know what it's like to be eating all around you. Anyway, Kelly, enjoy your Christmas. You brought such cheer to the nation, and we're all so grateful to you. Congratulations and thank you.
Thanks very much.
Now, our next winners lit up the summer for us. Our women's four winning bronze at the Olympic Games in the most dramatic fashion possible. So it's great to have Afra Keogh, Emily Hegarty, Emer Lamb and Fiona Murta with us. And if I could ask you first, Afra, about your expectations going into the final, because obviously everybody wants to win a medal in the final. What were your genuine expectations?
I suppose we weren't trying to focus too much on the result itself, and obviously we were just trying to think about our preparation and our race plan. But I suppose at the back of my mind, I was kind of thinking, maybe a medal was on the cards, but then quickly trying to tell myself, don't let yourself think that far ahead and just focus on the job at hand.
And then, what was the race plan?
The race plan was definitely not to do what we ended up doing, but our main focus was to try and stay with the pack, with the rest of the boats, as much as we could in the first half. And we knew if we had done that we would put ourselves in a good position to, because we are quite good at the second half of the race. So, our main focus was try to, I suppose, damage control maybe in the first half, and then to kind of let loose then and go for it towards the end. But obviously that didn't go to plan, and we had to kind of maybe start going a bit earlier than we had initially planned. But yeah, it obviously all worked out in the end.
Yeah. So Emily, take us through. At the halfway stage, you were about fourth, but you dropped back to fifth. Does panic set in at that point?
I think we had gotten to a stage where we knew kind of how we raced and what our strengths were. So I think when we were in that position come halfway, we always knew that could be a possibility. We knew our starts weren't our best asset as such, but we always knew we had the confidence, no matter, the distance, we usually do make up quite a bit of ground in the second half. So I think that was kind of, as long as we knew we were kind of in touch with the rest of the boats to some extent. So I think then it was a case of don't panic and just be confident in our abilities and that we could push through, and it ended up all right for us in the end.
No, it's easy to say don't panic, but when you're still fourth and you're looking at Britain, who does the talking?
Emer would do the talking during the race. Africa would take an odd look out and give us a shout about where we were. So when we were actually in fifth, Africa told us we were in fourth, just not to dishearten us too much. But and then Emer would kind of make the race calls.
Yeah. And Emer, take us through the closing couple of 100 meters.
So the last few hundred, we'll usually kind of start to sprint around 300 to go, but we actually I think we started sprinting about 600 meters to go, which is like a good 2-minute sprint. And at that point, we were coming in about 7:50 to go, and I could see Great Britain was beside us, and I knew it was down to me on when to call the last putt and to get that timing right. But I think we were lucky we had Great Britain beside us in that lane, because we know we'd beaten them before, and I think going for it, I was like, oh, there's no way they're going to pip us on the line. We'd beaten this crew just a few months before. So about 600 meters, I think, to go, I was like, kind of crossed my mind. I was like, come on, it's now or never. And I think we all knew that as well. So when I called it, everyone responded, luckily, because if you don't all respond together, it doesn't usually work that well. But everyone backed each other. When I made the call, everyone kind of trusted that decision, and I trusted that everyone would go when it was time to go. So yeah, we just gave it everything then for the last bit of the race, and thank God we didn't die too soon.
And Fiona, obviously you're all spent, but what are your memories of the immediate aftermath of the race when you'd crossed the line?
Yeah, it was so emotional. We were exhausted. We had to take a double look to make sure that we actually did in fact get that bronze medal. And then when we came into the podium, it was just happy tears, I suppose. We were laughing and then we were crying. So it was, very emotional. And
one thing that will always be kind of historic, I think, Fiona, is the medal presentation, because of the whole COVID thing. But the medal presentation became one of the most popular elements of our Olympic successes.
Yeah, and it was so lovely that we were able to actually present the medals to each other. I thought it was such a unique and special moment, and we're very unaware of everything else going on around us. It was just the four of us, and it was lovely. Yeah, definitely a highlight.
It was like a giddy childishness amongst you all doing it.
We weren't aware of the cameras around us at the time.
Yeah. Oh, that's what made it so lovely. And Africa, you then, unusually, again because of COVID, weren't able to stay and party in the Olympic Village like would happen on other times, which was a shame. But the welcome home you all got individually was fantastic. Tell us about your one.
Yeah, so I'm obviously from Nafurbika in Galway, and I arrived home, I think, on the bank holiday Monday in August, and drove through Barna, Nafurbika and Spidale on a double-decker red bus, and just the crowds were lining the whole road. There was bonfires, there was Garda escort, and there was just traffic jams going all the way out through Connemara, and it was lovely. There was a bit of rain. Obviously, it wouldn't be Galway without a bit of rain. But it was a really, really nice return home. And just, obviously with COVID, you hadn't seen people in, almost a year or two at that stage. Just obviously getting to get a glimpse of, my friends and even my aunts and uncles and cousins just lining the streets was just really, really nice.
And Emily, for you going back to Skibbereen, your Olympic medals, there's a lot of them there. So what was it like for you when you went back?
Yeah, no, to be fair, it was such an unreal experience. And I think, we kind of knew the Rowing Club had organised something small the following day. So I think, like, our official kind of homecoming. So we didn't expect there to be much of a stir when we did actually arrive home that day. So, but yeah, no, it was unreal. Obviously, kind of word came out that we were coming home. And even just like, we'd hop out, we hopped out at the street at one stage. And just like, even the amount of people that even came out that we just didn't realise we'd come across at all was just so, so special. And it was so funny though, because there's videos of us online. It's myself and Fintan lumped into the back of my mom's car and the suitcases up in between us. So it wasn't exactly
glamorous,
very well prepared, but it was really, really, it was just so unreal to see all the people who'd come out and support us.
Yeah. And a final point, Fiona, you're young women now in the peak of your lives, but forever there's a bond between the four of you now that will be so special.
Oh, absolutely. It was such an amazing journey. And it was funny when we got off the plane at Tokyo, we had spent so much time together and we kind of looked at each other, the four of us, and we were like, when will we see each other next? But no, it's been great and really glad to be able to experience and share something with three other such amazing women.
And your four little old ladies, you'd be having cups of tea somewhere and sharing your nursing home stories together and all. It's an amazing bond. And have you seen each other much, by the way?
Well, myself and Emily are in Cork for training, and the two girls are in Dublin, so we see each other every now and then. Yeah.
Well, hopefully you all have a great Christmas anyway. You brought us great joy in the summer, and thank you for that. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The month of August was literally a golden month for Ireland at the Paralympics, and we have joint winners, golden winners, from swimming, Ellen Keane, who joins us now. Ellen, congratulations to you. I know you're practicing for your dancing at the moment. We'll talk about that in a moment. But take us back to that wonderful day in August. And I think people in Ireland, they all remember your family celebrations and everything. But it was a very, very tense race, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was an intense race, and like going into the competition, I was so confident. And then when I saw the entry list, because Sophie, the girl who came second, she sometimes does, sometimes doesn't swim breaststroke, and she moved down a classification as well. So I'd never actually raced her in 100 breaststroke before, and I knew that her PB was faster than mine. So I was a little bit. I had one day there where I was a bit tense, and then I kind of just told myself that I could do it, and it was honestly just constantly telling myself over and over again that I could do it. That on the day when it came around, I had so much confidence and belief in myself that I was capable of winning that gold medal.
And so it proved, but it did need calmness because she started so well and she led for so much of the race.
Yeah, she did, and I was aware of her strengths. Like, she's a really, really strong first 50 meters, and I know myself, if I go out too fast in the first 50 meters, I usually rush the stroke, so I'm not able to kind of hold on to the water. So tactically for me and my coach, we had practiced it so many times. It was just dive in, do your underwater work, have one stroke to the 15 meters and then focus on roughly around 14 strokes to get to the first 50 meters. And so when I dived in and my goggles filled with water, I didn't really panic too much because I had practiced how many strokes I needed over and over again. And it was nearly a good thing as well, not being able to see Sophie, because I didn't have to worry about where she was in the race. It was just focusing on myself, my strengths, and what I had practiced for 5 years basically. And it was the perfect race that I had gone over so many times in my head that I was finally able to execute.
What a wonderful way to win with the perfect race. But I mean, you're a multi-Paralympian, but the response this time was huge. Were you overwhelmed by it all?
It was a strange one because obviously because of COVID, there was nobody really there in the stands. I could only really see my teammates. And it was kind of like we had created a bubble and gone away and competed, and we were living this different life. And I wasn't even really aware of like back home in Ireland until I came home. And I had been so strict in not seeing people and looking after myself and making sure me and my teammates were safe, that when I came home and I saw the response and everyone being so good and coming up to me and wanting to see me, it was so overwhelming. But it was honestly like it made up for there not being a crowd.
Yeah. Oh, it was fantastic back here. Well, look, and finally, there's no rest for you now. You're not in the pool. You're on the dance floor getting ready for Dancing with the Stars. How's that going for you?
Oh my God, it's so much fun. I started the competition, I started rehearsals basically a little bit too confident, thinking, oh, I'm an athlete, I can do this. But I'm really skilled at doing one thing over and over again. And now I have to learn to put my feet in all different positions and I'm falling over, tripping. But honestly, it's so much fun. And I can't wait to get back into competition mode, but in the glitz and glam that is Dancing with the Stars.
Yeah, well, we'll be cheering for you and really look forward to seeing you. Best of luck with it, and we'll see you in the new year.
Thanks very much.
Now in August, we also had the women who plundered the medals at the Paralympics in Tokyo. Silver and 2 gold medals in cycling for Katie George-Dunleavy and Eve McChrystal. And they join us now. Congratulations, it was a fantastic achievement by you both. And Katie, how did COVID impact on your preparations? Because you're based in Sussex, Eve is in Dundalk. How did it impact?
Well, I came over to Ireland for a 2-week camp last March, just as the virus was kind of ramping in Europe and the schools closed in Ireland. Eve said, still come over. The girls were off school, and I was kind of seeing how things would play over here with the virus as well. The schools closed, and as time went on, I ended up staying for longer than 2 weeks. And as time went on, I decided best not to travel. My parents are elderly, and my sister's shielding and highly vulnerable, so I decided to stay. But also in the best interest, we just kind of made the most of that time together. Eve's, as I said, Eve's girls were off school, and so I just kind of stayed there for a long training camp.
So that was tough, but Eve, indirectly, was that a help, the extra time?
It definitely was, Des. Yeah, we've never had that block of training before in all the years we've been together. And I suppose the kids, the schools closed then. So my life became extremely simple because there was no after school activities. So basically myself and Katie just slept, ate, trained, repeated that for 4.5 months. And that's what we did. And I really do think it was the making of those medals, to be honest with you. So, yeah, we thrived during COVID.
Well, it certainly paid off in Tokyo. Given you had been at other Paralympics, Katie, did you find it strange in Tokyo with the lockdown and no spectators, etc.?
Yeah, I mean, it was very different with the protocols in place to keep us safe, and none of us could get the virus. The virus. If any of us got it, then that was the end of our games for us. So we were that was nervous around that, and being really, really, we were really being strict with them with the protocols and trying to keep ourselves safe. And yes, it was different with the spectators, but we are kind of used to that at World Championships every year. We hardly ever get any spectators. A few family members, my mum and dad being some of them. And the only time really, on the track, I would have known the difference. In the track in Rio and especially in London, it was like incredible. The noise in London 2012 on the track was incredible, and then we only had, you know, members of the staff and the team and volunteers that were in the velodrome in Tokyo. So that was very different. But it's such, you're so focused on what you're doing, you're actually oblivious to if there's people there or not. To be honest with you, it's, you know, you're just focused on the prep, you know, the process in hand and the racing, especially on a track. It's 3.5 minutes or less, and so, you know, it was very different. But we just carried on the way that we usually do.
And Eve, given they were all wonderful successes, have you a particular favourite from Tokyo?
I think the road race was very special. I think because I knew that Katie really wanted that gold medal. I felt that race really stressful because of the weather. So I think when I crossed that line, I think everything just came on top of me emotionally. I was like, I can't believe we're after doing that. So it was a really special moment, I think, crossing the line, because that was our games finished and we had 3 medals in our back pocket. So yeah, I think the road race, because we hadn't got a gold medal in that, so that was special.
Congratulations to you, and thanks for all the joy that you brought us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
One of my images of the year in Gaelic games, men or women, either code, was the throw-in, and you winning the ball and tearing at the Dublin defence. And it was almost like a statement, wasn't it?
Yeah, I suppose it was something we definitely spoken about. I think Jen Dunn tackled me just on the edge of the D, and I definitely felt that one. But I think it was just the adrenaline. I just jumped back up after that. So, yeah, it was a quick start to the game, and I suppose it's the kind of the start you want, a quick score on the board, and we were happy with that.
But given where you had come from intermediate to senior, you had already perhaps overachieved. So to go on and win it, obviously you had confidence in yourselves, but you brought a huge support from Meath. I'm not sure the Meath public thought you were going to win it in advance. Am I right?
Yeah, I suppose I think we always had that belief in the camp, and it was something that we kind of maybe weren't afraid to speak of, that we wanted to go on the day and win the final. But I suppose, you know, the support from Meath was outrageous. But I think maybe, like you said, I don't think the belief was there, or maybe until the day in Croke Park.
Yeah, and you can't blame it for that, I suppose, given the record. But the joy it brought to everybody in Meath was incredible. They've been so hungry for success.
Yeah, it was a bit strange. I don't think it sunk in for until a few weeks after the match, you know, just random people pulling you on the street and kind of just saying how much it impacted them in different ways and stuff like that. So I suppose I don't think that's what you're thinking of on the day, the impact that it can have on a wider community, but it's really nice to see the effect that it has had.
Yeah, it really was strong. And then obviously some of the girls were able to relax and enjoy, but you then had this incredible success with your club, Dunboyne. So you had no real break, I'm guessing, looking at the way the matches went.
No, not much of a break. We were straight back into club the week after the All Ireland final, and then I suppose it was every 2 weeks we had games from then. But like, it's an ideal situation to be in. I don't think anyone's going to complain, you know, after winning a Leinster final with your club. Like, that's stuff a dream. So as much as I'm enjoying my break now since the Leinster final, it's definitely not a bad thing.
And I should point out for people who don't follow it closely, Dunboyne's victory over Foxrock Cabinteely was as big a surprise as Meath's victory over Dublin.
Yeah, I suppose we're loving that underdog tag this year, but no, I think going into the Fox Cab, we had a really tough game against Tinahely the week before, went to extra time, and we only won it by a point. So I think we were well set for Fox Cab, and you know, they got a goal before half time, but we kind of kept composure. So it was good to see, and it's nice to win with your club. You know, it's kind of hard to emulate that feeling.
Absolutely. So no real rest for you. It was a long year. I mean, it was hugely rewarding, but how much of a break do you get?
Not much. We kind of are forcing ourselves to take a week or two off now, but we are straight back into anyway, club, county and college now in January. We have our All-Ireland semi-final on the 16th of January, and college football starts on the 3rd of February, and county football starts back on the 12th of February. So it's not a long break, but like it's what I love doing, so it's not too bad.
And you're enjoying it all, are you?
Yeah, absolutely. I suppose we're still milking some celebrations from the All-Ireland final, so we'll make the most of it while we can.
Well, Christmas should be good for that. Congratulations, Vikki. It was a pleasure to watch it, and for you personally, you were outstanding. Well done to you. Congratulations.
Thanks, Eddie.
Winner for the month of October is our youngest winner, but what an achievement. She became the youngest Irish cricketer, male or female, at international level to score a century in a one-day international. Amy Hunter did this for Ireland against Zimbabwe. Amy, congratulations to you. 121 from how many balls?
I think 127 if I remember.
That's dream stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. To be honest, it was probably beyond the dream. I'd never even thought of it happening until maybe a few years down the line, hopefully.
Tell us, because your first few innings were modest enough with Ireland, is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. So I debuted in May there for the in the T20 format, and yeah, definitely to be honest, I didn't get off to the best start, and then yeah, it came out of nowhere from my perspective, and I think everyone else's as well.
I don't dismiss such an achievement. But as you gradually began building, at what point did you go, wow, this is building into a very significant score?
To be honest, it kind of hit me once I got on the sort of 60, 70, 80, where like just that it was possible and I could achieve it. At the start, and to be honest, I was just trying to get into double figures. Yeah. So it was I think once I got past my 50, and it kind of raced from there to the 100. So I think once I got to 70 or 80, I sort of felt it was possible, and then obviously it happened, which is amazing.
And does the tension increase then as you get closer to the 100?
I sort of felt like I just had nothing to lose. I actually didn't. I wasn't overly nervous coming up to the 100. I was much more nervous coming up to the 50 because obviously it's such a milestone. But the 100, I just felt it would be an amazing day, and to be honest, I didn't really think it could get much better.
Well, indeed it can't. So you're still at school. So how are you combining international cricket and school, Amy?
Yeah, so my school, Methodist College, have been really good to me with the online learning from COVID and stuff, which has really helped. So I've been working off Google Classroom when I've been away, and then I just work hard when I'm there to give me the best chance. And how have you found that when you're away? Because I presume a lot of your teammates don't have to study. Yeah, so there's two of us in school, me and Georgina Dempsey, and then there's a few still in college. So it's quite nice. There is a group of us, and then some even are still working and stuff. So there is definitely a group of us, which is quite nice that I'm not the only one. And to be honest, it's quite a nice environment to study in, and obviously like you miss the teaching from school, but it's not too bad in the school. The teachers are really accommodating. That's good. And your ambitions long term? Yeah, so to be honest, I just want to kind of make sure of my place in the Irish team, hopefully both T20 and 50 over side, and then kind of just keep going with them and keep going from there and try and qualify for the World Cup and making it a really successful one-day championship. Brilliant. Well, listen, it's a wonderful achievement. We're delighted for you. Congratulations again, Amy. Happy Christmas to you. Thank you very much. Now, our winner for November has had an outstanding year with her club Arsenal and as captain of the Republic of Ireland women's team. And of course, we were acknowledging the Republic of Ireland winning that key World Cup game away to Finland, and then that record scoreline in Tala. When how many did you get in that, Katie McCabe?
Yeah, I think I got 2 that night.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, in terms of confidence, it was great. But in the overall context, there's still a long way to go, isn't there?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, obviously breaking the record in the manner we did at the time of the year, I think to give our fans a lift for kind of supporting us through some difficult periods prior to the start of the World Cup campaign was fantastic. And like you said, it just gave the squad that lift, that confidence, and instilled that belief to kind of keep that going into the new year.
And explain to us the importance of that away win in Finland.
Yeah, look, it's massive. Finland are the second seeds in the group, and ultimately, if we want to finish either top or or get a playoff position, we need to be beating Sweden or Finland. We have to play them again next year. Finland will be at home, and then the Swedish game will be away. So another 2 tough games, but ultimately, the job's not done yet. We need to keep going, and 2022 will be a massive year for us.
But you have a lot of experience. Do you sense a rise both in mood and maybe quality from the team that failed to make the Euro finals in the playoff?
Yeah, look, obviously it's been a journey, especially since I first come into the senior team 6-7 years ago. I feel old saying that now, to be honest, but look, it's a journey. It helps when we've got a lot more players playing full-time professional football, because they've got that exposure to that elite level, which is obviously the international level. So it's a number of things, but we need to obviously remain humble in where we are right now, and have full focus on each game as it comes in 2022.
But aside from that professional element to it, I sense watching you that you're all having great fun, and there's great crack and buzz in the group.
Yeah, of course, there always is. Look, obviously I'm playing over in England now the last number of years, and I always love coming back into the Irish setup, seeing all my Irish girls and the camaraderie we have. That natural, the spirit we have within the team, you can't buy that. It's always enjoyable, and it's nice to be then getting those sort of results and finishing off the year with.
And a final question, I mean, things are going really well for you at Arsenal, but do you get any break at all over Christmas?
I do. I get a few days off over Christmas, which would be nice. It's been all guns blazing since June, July, since pre-season, with obviously Champions League games, international games, and league games as well. So I'll get a few days at home in Dublin, so I'm really looking forward to that, catching up with some family and old friends. So yeah, it'll be a nice one, hopefully.
Great. And a nice way to round off what's been a great year for you. Congratulations, and thanks for joining us, Katie.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
It's the Sportswomen of the Year Awards for 2021, but I'm joined now by two men who've been central to these awards for so long. The Chief Executive of Sport Ireland, John Tracy, and the man who created this event, the sports editor of the Irish Times, Malachy Logan. Gentlemen, you're very welcome. John, you have made the point each year that the standard of the achievements of women in sports seems to be increasing, but this year was kind of ridiculous it went so high.
It was ridiculous this year. Look, the performances that we've got throughout the whole year from women in Irish sport was phenomenal, just phenomenal. And what an Olympic Games and what a Paralympic Games. That was one of my crowning moments, but it was absolutely fantastic year.
And even when we see the monthly winners there, Malachy, there were women in contention who didn't make it each month. It was extraordinary. But each woman gets, if you're chosen one month, that's it. You don't get chosen a second month. And that seems to give a broader spread as well.
It does, because you could have people winning, twice a year. Yeah. I think this year, as John alluded to there, we could have had almost a weekly award. There were so many achievements. But it was a momentous, stupendous list of achievements. John mentioned the Olympics there. And then you roll on to Cheltenham and Aintree for Rachel Blackmore. You think of the Meath football team coming up from intermediate level to beating the Dubs in the All-Ireland final. And it's just, the list is just endless. And, watching Katie McCabe there, suddenly catapult us into people's, people are familiar with all these names now. Yeah. It's been a remarkable year. Yeah.
The events are going since 2004, John. You have obviously kind of been watching and helping nurture the growth of sport and women. How dramatically has it changed, and where does it stand in the overall context now in your view?
I think it's changed dramatically, really and truly. I think there's huge emphasis on women's sport, whether it be high performance, whether it be participation. The ministers themselves have made it a key priority for them. And we're getting women into the boardrooms as well, which is really, really important. Better decision making, so that's really, really important. But what we've actually seen is we've seen real progression of women through systems, and we're looking at the profile of some of our athletes. The profile is for some of the sports is the same as the men. Like maybe just Kate. Kelly Harrington had a fantastic year.
Yeah.
Like, her profile is through the roof. And that's the way it should be as an Olympic champion. Ellen Keane is the same. It's just through the roof. And these are household names. Look, you go to Tallaght Stadium, the place is packed for the women's game, and rightly so. Yeah. World-class coach, world-class players delivering world-class performances. And that is to be absolutely applauded and cheered on.
It's actually hard to believe how few men are on the landscape of the big achievements this year, isn't it, Malachy?
Absolutely, yeah. And it's great to see that. Because I think that the emphasis, and I think that, you know, there's still a lot of work to be done in terms of media coverage, in terms of profile of women's sport. But I've watched a transformation, as John mentioned there, of women's sports coverage, and we've been part of it ourselves. I'm privileged to be part of it in the Irish Times, I should say. But, you know, sort of, John mentioned the Tallaght Stadium there. You just, even controversies now involved in women's sport come on, excellent coverage or extra coverage. And I just see it going further and further. Say RTE, BBC Television. It is accepted now that many of these people are household names, which was not the case 10, 15 years ago.
Well, when you created these events, what was your thinking, and what was the reaction?
I thought it was just something that wasn't in place at the time, and it was always, you know, sort of overemphasis on male sport. And I thought that, you know, it would be certainly good for the Irish Times. I'd love to say that I was sort of some prophet, and I'm not, but we did get involved, and we did see something in the Irish Times that would lend itself to increased coverage. We opened dedicated pages to women's sport, but we will never do enough, really, because you're judging it you're judging it by a different set of standards. People judge women's sport against men's sport, which is absolutely wrong. Women's sport stand on their own, and they should not be judged. They should be judged on their own standards, and the same applies to some media coverage.
And a final thing, John, in terms of the role models who you've mentioned, do you see more and more youngsters getting involved in participation? Can you see that now, that more younger girls are involved?
Absolutely. You see the younger girls looking up to look at what happened out in the sports campus on Sunday.
Cross country.
At the cross country.
Yeah.
You know, like, you had kids running after our female role models, and there's nothing like it. Yeah. You know, if a female sees another female achieving on the world stage, and the awe that I'd look at them, it's fantastic to see, and they're great role models, and they're a great example in terms of performing on the world stage. Like, look at me, Leona Maguire on the world stage, constantly delivering world-class performances. And, like, for any Irish young lady looking at that, it can only be an inspiration for them.
Indeed. Okay. Well, look, it's unusual, the awards, because obviously we have all of our monthly award winners here, and we reflect on the year, and they all meet each other. And obviously, because of the need for us to be socially distanced, etc., that can't happen. And it means that we can't thank you. It's left to me to thank you for what you've done, because in each of your cases, it's your last time here in an official capacity.
It is, yeah, but sure, time to move on.
It is as well. As John says, time to move on. Yeah. The baton to be passed to some very responsible people.
Yeah.
So you'll be here next year, but you won't have to do speaking. Well, on behalf of all of the award winners and all associated with the awards, a genuine thank you very much for what has been a wonderful, progressive element to the coverage of women's sport in Ireland. We thank you. And now you might look at the screen, and we'll reflect on some of the lovely, nicer moments from the last 17 years of the Sportswomen Awards. some lovely memories there from the last 17 years, and thanks very much to John Tracy and Malachy Logan. Now, time to announce the winners of our Outstanding Achievement Award for 2021. And the award goes to 9 magnificent women who won medals for Team Ireland in Tokyo in 2021. The Games, of course, called Tokyo 2020. They'll always be the most remarkable Olympic Games of all time, I suppose, because of COVID and the impact and the one-year delay. But to collect the award on behalf of our Paralympics team is Ellen, who you've already seen in the video, and Emer from our rowing 4 are here. So congratulations to you both, and isn't it lovely to collect it on behalf of the team, and to win the Outstanding Achievement in this year of all years is very special, Ellen.
Yeah, it's lovely to see that all 9 women are being recognised, because you honestly can't pick out one performance, because everyone had such a good games and such a good year, especially with the year that was in it, and having to go through all the pandemic and the lockdown, and then finally reaching the podium 9 times is an amazing thing. So just so lucky to be here and honoured to be able to accept this award on behalf of the ladies.
On behalf, and I was asking you, Emer, a few minutes, do you watch the video of your race often of the final? And you don't?
No, I don't. Yeah, everyone always thinks like you must watch it all the time. Like just have it on loop on a projector in my house. But no, I find it kind of hard to like watch back on races on a whole. Just because we were so excited, I think, afterwards with the results and everything, like we were so delighted. I don't want to look back and look at our start, I'd say, and be like, oh my God, what were we doing there? Yeah. And think of having any kind of regrets about it at all. So I kind of like having the memory in my head and keeping it that way.
But when you came home, you went to home, did you go to Cabra first and then the club, or?
So yeah, I went to Cabra first, and my neighbour had actually organised a vintage car.
I saw it in the paper, yeah.
Yeah, I got like a text when I landed, and Mum was like, listen, your neighbour has organised this vintage car and we're going to drive you up and down the road. And I was like, oh my God, no. Like I was wrecked from travelling, and I was like, no one's going to be there. They're just going to be like, who is this woman in this car driving up and down the road? And so I went out and everything, and actually it was amazing. I think it probably was helped with the side that my road is lined with pubs. So everyone in the pubs were given Irish flags and they all came out waving. But yeah, that was incredible when I got to go home.
It was, because I would have thought, did your family put on the video when you came home? Did you watch the race?
Of my race?
Again? Yeah.
No, I don't think I actually saw the video of my race until I was at an event for a sponsor and they were playing it, and I was like, oh, that's what it looked like. But no, like I actually haven't watched it back that much either, because it's kind of like a moment in time that you cherish yourself, and you don't really want to pick out things, as Emer said, that maybe you could have gone better, but it is just constantly replayed in my head anyway.
Yeah, never having been at the Olympics, it's extraordinary. So do you move on in life? I mean, has life moved on for you, Emer?
Yeah, it definitely has. There's definitely moments like this where it's like, oh my God, the Olympics happened. But yeah, I think me and Ellen were talking about it earlier. Like it almost feels like that was a bit of a dream what had happened, and now it's definitely kind of a bit back to reality. Like the world does move on, and like as soon as I was back to the first question I think I was asked was, what about Paris? Can't wait for Paris. So yeah, it's definitely, everything's moved on a bit now, and I think we're kind of a bit more back to reality.
Yeah, and is it difficult? It must be coming down a bit from high. Is that a fact?
Yeah, and so Tokyo was my 4th games. I've experienced games where I didn't swim as well as I wanted to. I didn't achieve what I wanted to. So it's nearly easier coming home from a games having not performed, because it gives you that fire and that motivation to push on for the next 4 years. But coming home with the gold medal is a low I've never actually experienced before, because all that work that you've done, you've reached the peak and now it's over. And then you come home and you're like, oh, how do I mentally prepare for Paris? Like, I want to go to Paris. I'm determined to go to Paris. I want to get on top of that podium again. But you nearly just have to accept it. And thankfully, I've got a few things planned for the next few months anyway to keep me busy.
You're dancing, the glitter is given away with the dancing.
It's my wardrobe now for the next few months.
Well, you'll be blinding people for a few months. And you're back at work now, are you?
Yeah. So I started kind of a graduate job, which I originally was meant to start 2 years ago. And then I decided, you know what, I'll move down to Cork. It's only 1 year. I'll try qualify for Tokyo. And then that obviously came 2 years with COVID. So I've been pushing that out for so long. I was like, okay, I should probably do at least a day's work for this company. So yeah, I've started working. So that's probably my reality check. But yeah.
It is a reality check. I mean, naturally, it has to be tough to go to that from the buzz of where you've been?
Yeah, definitely. It is kind of weird because you go from kind of being like at a pinnacle of your sport and kind of being near the top, and then all of a sudden I'm at the very bottom knowing nothing about it because I've gone into like business and I've had no work experience really with it before, just because rowing's kind of always taken over any spare time I did have. And yeah, so it is a bit of a change then, going back to the bottom again, but it's exciting too, like having so much more to learn.
Somebody told me actually that elite sports people are kind of the dream employee because by their nature they're so competitive and they want to assimilate. So I'm not suggesting you're the dream employee, you know, but that it is.
No pressure. High expectations.
Yeah, 2 months into it. Yeah. If we look at the screen, we can reflect maybe on, as we say, it's the women of Team Ireland and our medalists. Here's a video just to reflect on our outstanding achievement of 2021. It's great when you see all of you together there. So many medals. It's brilliant. It really is. Your parents, I saw your parents celebrating. I mean, the joy and your mother was on the radio with us when you won your medal. I mean, the joy for your parents and your coaches who've brought you through from when you were kids.
Yeah, definitely. And I think making the podium and winning a gold medal is kind of just a big thank you to all the commitment and sacrifices that they've made over the years. And it was unfortunate they weren't able to be there, but I think they were able to find a way to celebrate.
Yeah, because I think as parents, the rest of us all identify with your parents, you know, and what...
The emotions and
the emotion, the success, and not being there for them, you know. Did that bother your family?
Yeah, I think they did find it hard. My mum would be
They got to Rio, didn't they?
Yeah, so they got to Rio with my sister, and
Claire.
they loved every minute of that. They brought like all their friends. They had like a proper entourage going over. It was a big holiday for them. But yeah, I think this year, just because my parents would get quite nervous for my racing, they'd almost be more nervous than me. I think they didn't eat like the entire week of my racing. So yeah, I think they would have appreciated being over there, because I think when they see me and I'm calm, they know they can be calm. But yeah, like Ellen said, like they found a way to celebrate. They got their friends and everything. So like at least they kind of had that moment of being at home when there was such a momentum, I think, at home. Because they missed that in Rio as well. They didn't really see the country being behind my sister, whereas because they were obviously away from it. But then this time they were here and they could see their neighbours, and like some of their friends got T-shirts printed with my name on it and everything. So I think in a way it was probably nice for them to see that other side of it.
And of course they got to enjoy celeb life, getting interviews and media as well. They wouldn't have gotten that if they were over in Tokyo.
Can I ask you about one last thing on this?
Okay.
We were chatting for a few minutes beforehand, and we were talking about getting back into it. You're swimming tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm racing at the Irish Short Course.
How much practice have you done, Ellen?
No, I have, because obviously with the dancing, I still wanted to be able to get back in the pool whenever it does end, because obviously it's a competition, it's a knockout. And I still want to be able to swim. So tomorrow is just to go through the motions and to know like what my competition warm-up is, how it feels to race. I actually was in the warm-up pool a few days ago, and I literally was like, what am I doing? I've made such a mistake. But it'll be a bit of fun. I'm a little bit afraid to get back in the racing suit itself. But.
Well, it'll be no bother to you. And my last question, Emer was talking about the calories required for training.
Yeah.
And I found a bit of a jaw-dropping.
So yeah, because when you're training full-time, like with rowing, you burn so many calories that for girls it'd be around 4,500 to 5,000 calories a day you'd have to consume, and then for the guys it'd be worse. It'd be between 8 and 9. And yeah, like I was saying, one of the guys on the rowing team, it'd be like 10 o'clock at night, he'd be exhausted, ready to go to bed, get up for training the next day, and he'd be there almost crying over a tub of Ben & Jerry's, trying to shovel those spoons into him. Yeah, trying to get like a litre of ice cream into him before he went to bed, just to try and get close to those calories. So yeah, it's a weird side of the sport.
If that's not inspiring enough to motivate people to get into rowing, I don't know what is.
Ellen, I've done that, and it's made no difference to my rowing ability. But anyway, listen, it's been lovely talking to you both. You're two wonderful women, and I'm thrilled for you both with your success on a personal level and what you brought to our country. Well done.
Thank you.
Great
Thank you
stuff.
for having us.
Yeah, it's lovely. And now we're going to talk about our Sportswoman of the Year for 2021. And our winner will be named by the Minister for Sport, Jack Chambers, who's going to reflect on this amazing year of 2021. Chambers, it's great to have you here with us on what has been an extraordinary year. We've said this many years at these awards, that the impact of what our women have achieved in sport has been phenomenal, but this year has exceeded everything.
Such a positive year, and when you take so many memories for people, if you take Kelly Harrington winning the gold through the summer, and I remember on RT radio in the day after and seeing the young people inspired by her and wanting to participate and box. When you take the great story of the Meath women's football team and winning the All-Ireland, going from an intermediate team all the way to winning Senior All-Ireland Championship, a really memorable day in Croke Park. And Leona Maguire as well, and the fantastic scenes we saw up in the Sleeve, Russell and Cavan after the Solheim Cup. So such a positive year from teams to individuals, and I think sending a brilliant message on participation. And we're seeing that across our communities now on weekends, the great growth around women and girls and their participation in sport. And that's the great inspiration that our sportswomen are showing and inspiring the next generation to participate and also to reach the peak of high performance. And we've had such a memorable year in a very difficult year with COVID again this year, but it's been great to see so many people get back playing the sports they love and see that continue now through to the Christmas period.
Well, given what a wonderful year it was, then it's your honour to announce for us the Irish Times Sport Ireland Sportswoman of the Year, and you've named many of the great achievements. So who's the winner?
The Irish Times Sport Ireland Sportswoman of the Year is Rachel Blackmore.
Well, here she is. It's a pleasure to welcome our Sportswoman of the Year, Rachel Blackmore. Congratulations, Rachel. And I suppose when you see all of the other winners and what they've achieved this year, it makes it extra special.
Oh, look, it's been such an incredible year for sport and women in sport. You know, from the Olympics to the Paralympics to the Meath girls, you know, it's just, you know, to Leonie in the golf. It's just been incredible. So to be nominated is fantastic, and to win an award like this, it's so special. It really is, because, you know, when you look at the people you're up against and their achievements, yeah, it's hard to kind of comprehend that you came out on top of that. It's unbelievable.
It's a bit weird that this year there's hardly a man on the landscape of sporting success. It's just dominated by women.
Yeah, look, it's been an unbelievable year, and you know, hopefully it'll continue like that.
You were saying to me you actually got to see the Olympics through misfortune.
Yeah, I was injured during the summer, so I was really able to get stuck into it. I was watching a lot of random sports that I may not have watched, but yeah, like to see the success that they had there and in the Paralympics, you know, it was unbelievable. You know, I was setting my alarm to get up and watch Kelly's fight, and like it was a great buzz, and you know, hearing their stories from the Olympics has been wonderful as well. You
dismissed your injury, but it was a shocking injury. Without going into the gruesome details, tell us effectively what happened.
I broke my ankle and my hip. But
on opposite legs.
On opposite legs, which made it a bit more challenging at the start for sure. But you know, that's the life of a jump jockey, and you know, there's no jump jockey out there who thinks they're not going to get injured. That's probably the only guarantee we have. And you know, you're just hoping it's never too serious. And look, I'm back now, and that's the main thing.
The Minister mentioned COVID and how difficult it was for everybody. Winning big races and nobody there, what was that like?
Yeah, look, it was different for sure. But, you know, I feel everyone that was there tried their best to make it special. You know, it's a great industry, it's a great community we have in the racing world, and, you know, everyone cheered everyone else back in. But, you know, no doubt it'll be brilliant to have the crowds back, because, you know, racing is all about the people and the atmosphere that they bring. So, you know, to have the full amount back would be brilliant.
Well, do you remember the reaction after you won the race?
Yeah, I just remember being flooded with just so much joy and elation. You know, you've other people coming up telling you well done, and you know, you're trying to comprehend, I suppose, what's just after happening. Like the Grand National is just such a big race, and you know, to even ride in it, you'd be excited to be riding in a race like that. So to actually win it, it's not something I ever could have even dreamt would happen.
I was telling Rachel my interesting statistic around her achievement was that about 3 times as many women have been in space as have ridden the Aintree Grand National. Isn't that remarkable? Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
And look, I think I remember we were in a particularly difficult period during COVID when you won. And I think the great joy it brought to the population. I remember everyone was speaking about it, and I think the leadership and the performance that you brought was absolutely incredible, and really strong memories. I think it is about inspiring. I think this year will really inspire the next generation for the future generation jockeys, but also to our sports people throughout the country, that they'll see the great success of Rachel and others, and really congratulate you again.
Thank you.
And Rachel, while we get finally to enjoy Christmas, you don't get to enjoy it at all.
Look, I love Christmas. But
you're busy.
Yeah, it's a very busy time of year for everyone in the racing industry. You know, there's a lot of racing on after Christmas. So, but look, it's an exciting time of year. You know, Christmas Day, you're just excited for Stephen's Day and to get going with that. So, look, it's brilliant.
Well, look, on behalf of all of us, we're thrilled with what you achieved, and the joy you brought us was unforgettable. Thank you so much for joining us. It's a pleasure
to
witness all you achieved.
Thank you.
Rachel Blackmore, the Irish Times Sport Ireland Sportswoman of the Year. And that's a wrap from the most extraordinary year that I can remember in Irish sport, just dominated by those wonderful women of Ireland. Thank you for all the joy you have brought us. It's been a wonderful, memorable year for all of us. On behalf of all of the team at the Irish Times and Sport Ireland, congratulations to our winners. May they have a great year again next year. And from all of us here, a very happy Christmas to you. Bye-bye.